Hello and welcome to Nirmal Bang, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Hiral Dadia. You're watching The Financial Coach. We have with us Mr. Jayant Goel, Director at Brightbridge Advisors, joining in. And today we are actually going to discuss as to what are the kind of new avenues which are available for investment, especially for retail investors. And secondly, the most important thing is in terms of where startups are concerned, because the flurry of startups that we are seeing in this day and age, that is becoming a lucrative investment bet. So how do retailers actually, retail investors actually invest in startups, and is there any mechanism available for them? Welcome to the show, Jayant, and I'm sure this is going to be a conversation which is really going to interest the youth of today.
Hiral, thank you so much. Thank you for having me here. And it's a very interesting topic. It is about the new age investments. And I'm so glad you are thinking and talking about it, whereas the rest of the country is perhaps still struggling to come to speed or come to terms with what to do in the post-COVID era. What's happened in the interim is the world has seen a few very new kind of avenues emerge. One of them is cryptocurrencies. People are talking about it all the time. There are governments trying to decide what to do with it. There is virtual gold. There is so many other options. But what has also come up as an option is investment in startups, in companies that are not listed, but are doing fantastic work out there. People couldn't have thought that companies like Zomato or a Myntra would get listed, would not be making profits, but get phenomenal investor wealth created out there. So these are some of the avenues that have opened up for investment. And I think I'm personally very excited about this entire thing that's going about right now. It's almost a revolution in the making.
Absolutely. So Jayant, overall, taking the new avenues of investment into consideration, if you have to actually define a new avenue versus a traditional avenue of investment, what are the newly available ones which are really lucrative according to you?
The traditional investment options were the stock market. You could look at mutual funds, you look at fixed deposits, you look at a regular PPF or a gold and silver or bullion kind of investment. Things have changed. The single most important thing now that people are realizing is the investment of time. You need to figure out where you're spending your time to understand what is going to be the star performer for tomorrow. These are companies that are going to change the paradigm, the way we are thinking, the way we are working, the way the whole world is panning out. Pre-COVID, COVID, and post-COVID era. Post-COVID, I don't know, but this is how the world has evolved, has changed. If you look at tech is now linked to everything. There is food tech, there's travel tech, there is infotech, and it's booming. What we really need to figure out is what are these avenues which are going to give me returns. And like I said, time is of essence. Firstly, how do I identify the right investment opportunity? I need to spend time there. And I need to give it time to flourish. It's not going to be very liquid all the time that you just take a bar of gold, go to the jeweler and get your money out. If you're looking at new age companies, you have to give them time. And that's the essential difference that I see in the the old traditional investment opportunities versus what we are looking at today.
Right. So taking the new investment opportunities, especially in terms of startups, into consideration, they are booming. And usually you mainly see HNIs, angel investors, probably Ps, venture capitals who actually have access to them. Is that a myth, or is that something which where where awareness needs to be created, that yes, even retailers can have access to them?
Hiral, what you say is 100% correct, but as of, let's say, 2 years ago, the world is slowly, gradually changing. This entire field of opportunity is available to investors across the spectrum. Not only are the entrepreneurs more open to taking investment from friends and family, from people that they think can contribute to their business, they are also organizations which are enabling it today. You can reach out to either the angel funds, you can look at REITs, you can look at AIFs that have been set up and invest with them. Of course, one of the avenues is to know these promoters or keep an eye out for some of these guys who are doing fantastic work out there, and get in touch with them, invest directly, understand the business. So if I could look at it, we could split it into two components. One is when I'm starting off. When I'm starting off, it's always better to learn. The best way to learn is from people who are already doing it. So tag along. Every investment will have a lead investor, and a lead investor will go out, he'll do his diligence on the company, a legal, secretarial, compliance, business diligence and all of that. And only then will they put in the money, because they are putting in some serious money into the company. You rely on them. You take their wisdom and tag along with them and invest a smaller amount. The other is to go out and reach to these people directly without going through the lead investor or really depending on anyone else. Those are also opportunities that are available. You just have to be a little more aware, or talk to consultants, talk to people who are regularly in this segment, and they'll give you some fantastic opportunities. They can open it up for you. One thing you need to remember is it's a 0-1 game. You could lose all your money, or you could become an investor in the next unicorn that's coming up in the space. So that needs to be really thought through before you invest.
Right. So overall, can a retail investor actually invest in startups? And if yes, what are the means available?
Right. So retail investors can definitely invest in startups. The companies that are raising capital, they can't actually go out there and say, hey, listen, anyone and everyone, please come and invest with me, because there are regulations, there are SEBI guidelines. You can't get into an IPO mode. So it has to be a closed group necessarily. And the best way to do that is to look at what are the options that are available to people who are known to you in your circle, in your extended circle, or feel free to reach out. There are a whole lot of consultants out there. Invest with them. Now, when I say retail investors, a 20,000-30,000 rupee investment is not really going to cut ice. Because if you look at it from the point of view of the company that's taking the money, 20,000, 50 investments doesn't really move the needle for them at all. So it'll have to be a significant sum, a little more than the usual 10, 20,000 or trading kind of mindset, because trading is absolutely ruled out. Your liquidity will come, but it'll come later. I have seen opportunities where people have invested very small sums of money and have come out laughing all the way to the bank with a 20 to 50x returns. That is possible. I have seen it. And I have also seen companies which were the star performers and they have just gone down the drain in a jiffy like that. So very very cautious approach, I would again re-emphasize time is of essence. You need to spend time before and give it time a little later for it to fructify.
Right. So is it right to say that if you have to compare the new avenues, especially in terms of startups, the risk and reward is pretty much higher? One, it's directly proportionate. Two, it's higher versus way higher than the traditional means.
Yes. So, and that is exactly where portfolio planning comes into play. You need to allocate your assets in different asset classes. So if you are really looking at this avenue, the new age avenues that we're talking about, we necessarily need to see what is the real disposable component that I can put in. And by the way, what really happens, and that's the way this market has evolved. The people who've made wealth from the private equity investment or into startups have brought the wealth back into the ecosystem. You will see a lot of new startups getting funded by mentors, by people who have made money in the segment. So, as a country, we are evolving into that space where entrepreneurship is being generated by successful entrepreneurs. It's a systemic shift that we see in the entire Indian mindset, which is a very, very positive thing, I would think.
Absolutely. So I think, number one, the key takeaways, Jan, that I take from here is that a 20, 30 kind of thousand kind of an investment in terms of rupees is not something which is going to be significant for startups. You need to raise the barrier on that front, one. And two, you need to actually sit down and decide in terms of allocation as to what are the kind of startups you need to look at, what is the theme that you want to follow, and simultaneously, depending on the disposable income that you have lying with you, decide on the percentage that needs to be invested in terms of the new avenues.
That's very, very aptly articulated, I think you've kind of summarized everything that I said very, very eloquently.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jan, so much for joining us on the show to give us this brief detail of what the new avenues could be. In fact, we should be doing furthermore episodes to get into detail of every aspect and create an ecosystem around it. Thank you, Jan, so much for joining us on the show. Stay safe and speak to you soon again.
Thank you, Hero. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel for in-depth interviews of India Inc. and press the bell icon so that you do not miss our updates.